Hello, everyone. It's Friday. It's Chat with Me Day. We have our fearless leader, Nadine, with us. How's it going today, sir?
Oh, going pretty good. I don't know if I would call myself fearless or leader. I mean, I
Nah, no,
try.
I'm pretty sure our team will say he's definitely a leader. They're fearless. We all got something, but hell, it's Friday, and we're not gonna worry about it. It's the weekend, and we're just I don't know what's been going on. Yesterday I had a bad headache.
Yeah.
I had to kind of rest. I don't know if it's just whatever, but I'm just happy it's Friday.
Well,
but
yeah, I mean, get that rest in, like I try to do that on weekends is wake up late, try to kind of break my routine, wake up late and just be a little lazy. But unfortunately, this weekend I can't do that much because I got to start a migration tonight at 5, and then I've got a uh, another project going on tomorrow, and then on Sunday I got to finish up the project that I'm going to start today. So it's going
Lord,
to be packed.
jeez, my
um,
goodness, pays to be the
but
boss, but
but I did figure out I tried to automate as much as I can. So I did today I spent some time automating some of the things that I want to do for that project. So I did a lot of that, and so it'll make my life a little easier. I'll just start up my process and just look at it every once in a while.
Well, it's funny you should bring up, the whole thing with, automate. It's something actually we want to talk about today. For a lot of businesses, they may have repetitive tasks that they're doing over and over again. And I know for a lot of people, and I'm guilty, I might do something. I'm guilty of doing the same thing over and over again and not thinking of a way to streamline that process. So if you're like me, you're going to want to hear this today because Nadeem is going to talk about something that I don't think a lot of people even know Microsoft offers, and that's Power Automate. So tell us a little bit about that, Nadeem.
Yeah, so Power Automate is something that used to be called Flow, Microsoft Flow. Um, to put it in easy terms, if anybody on the consumer side is familiar with IFT, that's IFTTT, if this then that, it's a service provided by a third party for automating. It's more, think of it like automating IoT devices. So, for example, in your house, if you have some sort of a smart AC control, thermostat, you can configure it with IFT so that when your power rate goes high beyond a certain threshold, your thermostat changes its temperature that it's going to do, so it doesn't cool as much. So you're trying to conserve energy and money at the same time. So IFT, and that's IFTTT. That's a service available for consumers to automate consumer devices, and it works with a lot of different internet-enabled technologies. I mean, you can integrate it with thermostats, with your home alert, with your Ring, your security systems, all kinds of stuff, right? Your smart door locks. So I know a lot of people are doing that where when they come into a certain area, their door automatically locks, and when they go beyond that area, the door automatically unlocks or whatever, and you can set your rules however you want to do that. And so if you're familiar with it, if you're used to that, think of Power Automate as the same thing but for business, right? So the same thing but for business. Now,
Got it.
since it is from Microsoft and is part of the Office 365 slash Microsoft 365 family, it integrates very well with Microsoft 365 products. So for example, you can very easily create something in there where if you get an email with an attachment, automatically save the attachment to my OneDrive for Business. I mean, and there is a lot of templates already built in on Power Automate where and that's what I would recommend is start off with a template. So find a template that's closest to what you want to do, and then customize it from there, and then make it your own. You use it. So for example, if you have a template that will save stuff from OneDrive, which I believe they already have that pre-made, so you probably won't even have to change much in it. So whenever it encounters an email in a certain mailbox with an attachment, it automatically saves that attachment into OneDrive for Business. Now you can go, I mean, you can connect different services and templates together. It's like building block. It's like Lego blocks, right? So they give you the
That's
blocks
good.
and you can
Yeah.
build whatever you want to build out of it. So you can have, for example, this one template that will save attachments to your OneDrive for Business, and then you can have another little template there that will, if it encounters any PDF files in OneDrive, it will automatically OCR it, for example.
Really?
So so you can build and connect different processes together. So one process is going to take attachments, save them to OneDrive. Another process is going to monitor your OneDrive folder. As soon as it encounters a PDF file, boom, it's going to run OCR on it. Or maybe you want to sort out stuff based on the extensions, right? So if it finds PDF files, it'll move them to a different folder. If it finds docx files, it'll move them to a separate folder. So you can have these processes going
Wow.
on. Now, you can take them a step further than that. So maybe you're doing all of this, and then if it encounters, let's say, a VCF file, like a contact card that came in via email, maybe it will automatically create an opportunity for you in CRM. Now, keep in mind, you have to have a license for Microsoft Dynamics CRM. But if you did have that, then you can automate this entire process. So in the old days, you might have an office admin going through these contact cards and then typing in the info because it's a new opportunity and you're putting it in your CRM, right? So you're putting it in the CRM, so a sales guy will have to contact that opportunity, run it to ground, see if there's what other options there are as far as sales go. Now you can automate that process. So what that office admin was going to do, typing in that information in CRM, can be automated, and it'll happen by itself. So there's, the possibilities are endless. Like I said, these are just Lego blocks. What you build out of them is totally up to you. And there are some complex automations out there that if you looked at it, you would think it's a custom program when it's just Power Automate. That's all it is. It's just different things put together. That is what the future is. That is the future that is now. And so what we're doing is, or what Microsoft is doing, is trying to enable business users to do stuff that normally they would have programmers do. So in the old days, you would hire a programmer to do something like that, to build something like that for you. But now you can do it with things like Power Automate. I mean, and it's easy to use. Power Automate, Power Apps, all these, they work together. Now here's where Microsoft is going with this. So you had Flow, which is now Power Automate. You had Power Apps. You had Dynamics. So Dynamics was a totally separate system, which is totally rewritten, and Dynamics is now running on top of Power Apps. So all of a sudden now you can extend your Dynamics CRM or your Dynamics Business Central or any of the Dynamics family very easily using Power Apps, because it's all built on Power Apps. So I don't want to get too bogged down in it and get too technical with people, but the thing is, with Power Automate, you can automate things just like you would automate your home with IFT. You can automate your business with Power Automate, and that's a simple way to put it. And it can do a lot more than just work with Office 365 services. So I gave you the example of saving stuff into OneDrive. That's not it. I mean, it can also save stuff to your local drive if you wanted to. So it can do a lot more than just the Office 365 family. If you look on the templates
Wow.
out there, it works with like Dropboxes and Box.coms and a lot of other third-party services. So it lets you automate all of that process. And it's just, you know, if anything is being, if you're repeating something over and over again, that's a waste of your time.
That's true.
You should automate that. I'll give you another example which might uh, trigger something for some customers out there. So we had a customer that was doing, they had their users uh, keeping track of time in Excel, and then they had somebody in the office entering all that into QuickBooks, right? So these were, remote users, and they weren't using timesheets in QuickBooks, so they had it in Excel. And so it's so easy to automate that with where the system can automatically go out, pull each one of these users' Excel files, which in this case was sitting in SharePoint, create those entries in QuickBooks, and it can even build a customer. But in this case, it didn't build a customer, it just marked it as to be emailed, and then an admin just reviewed every time entry, and then just with one click sent all the forms, and all these invoices went out. I mean, we automated that process of, somebody having to type all that in from the Excel, putting it into QuickBooks, and then sending it out. Now it's all automated. Now, of course, things like this we want to do one step at a time. So what we did is we automated it to the point where we create these entries, and then an office admin still reviews them and then sends them out. Well, the next step would be to automatically send them out. As you create that invoice, you automatically email it out, so it's already done. And that's very easy to do. I mean, we didn't have to involve our app dev guys. We have a whole app dev team. We didn't have to involve them. This was all done locally, internally over here, within like a few hours. I mean, it didn't take much time. And the trick is, it seems like, oh yeah, this should be pretty easy to do. It gets a little complicated from a technical perspective, because when you're creating these entries in QuickBooks, you don't know where that time entry window is going to be. What coordinates on the screen is that time entry window going to be? You don't know that. But we didn't have to know that, because with Microsoft Power Automate, it uses AI on the back end to be able to identify which window you're trying to put it in. So even if that window moves around on the screen, like QuickBooks very, very often will open that window in a different spot on the screen, it will know where that window is and go type it in that appropriate window.
Wow.
So I would say, try Power Automate. That's a pretty complex example, but you can take these little building blocks, you can build something simple out of it, and I say start simple, or you can build something very complex out of it. The best part is you create a few simple tasks, and then you can connect them together to create these complex tasks that, people would be like, wow, how did you do this? When they're really very easy, simple individual tasks that you're automating. So that's what Automate does.
So with Power Automate, are you able? Well, let me backtrack. Are there any limitations? Are there certain things that it can't do? As far as, let's say, and you brought up a great example. Especially now that we're kind of getting away from, well, we have been getting away from, using papers and printing things out, things of that nature. That's slowly, if not quickly, phasing out. Um, are there any limitations? Are there certain things that can do in the automation process? So, for example, you might have a doctor's office, and because of HIPAA laws, there's certain information that you can't have. Um, and I'm just trying to think if there's some kind of limitation, because it sounds like everyone should be using this. Even I'm even right now trying to think, okay, how can I use Power Automate on my day-to-day process? When I'm making calls and things of that nature. So yeah, what are the limitations, if any?
So, like with everything, there are always certain limitations. Now, if there is a template for something, then it's very easy to use Power Automate. However, there are there are only a limited number of templates available. I mean, last time I checked, I think there were over 200 templates available in the Microsoft ecosystem. But that doesn't cover all the products out there. I mean, there's so many out there. So if there is no template for the product you want to integrate with, then you're going to have to kind of figure out how to integrate with that product, and you're going to have to manually do that. So it makes life a little harder, where you have to do a little more work to get that integration going. But at the end of the day, it can be done, because at the end of the day, if Power Automate cannot do everything you wanted to do just by point and click, you can always drop down and script something out. But then you have to know how to script it out. So if you don't have that much knowledge of scripting and things like that, then that's going to be a limitation. However, most commonly used services that a lot of people use out there, they've already created the scripts for you, and that's how they created those templates, where you can just modify them a little bit and run with it. Now, we have run into limitations with Power Automate, and for example, so this whole platform is under very active development right now, right? So this limitation I'm going to talk about, it's not a limitation anymore, because it was a limitation like about a year ago when we were getting into this, and it's not a limitation anymore. But the limitation at that point was, you want to automate something, but you want to connect to a mailbox that is shared between multiple people. And Power Automate has had a problem connecting to that. It could connect to the mailbox of that is assigned a license and it belongs to a user, but it had a problem connecting with shared mailboxes. So that problem they've fixed. I mean, and that's what I like about products that are under such heavy development, that today it might be a limitation, tomorrow it's not a limitation anymore. So but that's the thing, is you want to try it out. Now, not everybody is going to get Power Automate, right? So I guess that could be a limitation, but not everybody's going to get it based on your Microsoft plan. So depending on what plan you have, there are some limitations on how many Power Automate procedures you can run, or automations you can have. So like we use we have a partner account, so we get so many automations that we can just run, and it's there for a reason. Microsoft wants partners like us to get used to this new technology that's coming out. So but then there are customers out there who may not have so many automations they can do. Like maybe there's a limit of 10 automations, so once you hit that 10, you got to pay to get more automations. So that's a limitation, I guess. But at the end of the day, if you look at it from a perspective of the example that I gave you, if we freed that Office admin from not having to do that repetitive task every day that they were doing, entering this time data into QuickBooks from Excel spreadsheets, well, now that Office admin can spend all that time doing something that's more important that only a human can do. So that's huge. In my books, if I can take something away from a human, that's a lot of savings. Because one thing, there's a lot of artificial intelligence out there, but artificial intelligence is just that. It's artificial. It's not real intelligence.
That's
So I
good.
would rather use a human where I need real intelligence, and not on something that is repetitive. I'd rather automate that with something else.
That's good.
And there's a couple of reasons for that. Of course, number one, we want to use the human to their full potential, which is the intelligence, the real intelligence. But then also, when we automate something using Power Automate or something like that, the chance of error gets minimized. So if a human is typing in something, the chance of error is high. But if a machine is simply copying and pasting something, the chance of error is very low,
Mm,
right?
that's
So
good.
you're
Yeah.
you're minimizing your chance of error. Now, another component that comes in this case with this timer entry was, if a user is actually typing all this stuff in manually, and now you don't know whether an error was made by the actual user who created the time entry in Excel, or was that error made by the middle guy, the Office admin, who typed it from Excel and then typed it in QuickBooks, took that information from Excel and then retyped it into QuickBooks. So you don't know where that error happened. When that's all automated, then there is no way that your machine is going to change 10 hours to 5 hours. I mean, it's just not going to do it. It's just not possible,
Yeah.
right? So we're minimizing our chance of error when we automating things. And Power Automate is great when it comes to that. You know, once you automate something, it just runs. And even to where it can email you if it has a problem running or if it encounters an error. And we've run into that situation before where we had a complex automation going, and then Microsoft released an update where they updated Power Automate and certain authentication mechanisms, and it failed on authentication with one of the third-party services. So it sent an email out to the admin saying, "Hey, I ran into a problem. I couldn't run this automation." So that's the thing.
Hmm.
Power Automate will automate your business processes. It will get rid of the errors that normally humans will make. It will make your life easier, and it will free that human to do things that only humans can do.
And this is just a general question. Are there specific industries or verticals that would benefit from a Power Automate as opposed to others, or is it just greater benefit
It's
no matter who you're?
I mean anybody. I mean, I
Yeah.
would say anybody can make use of Power Automate. I mean, it's I mean, I've seen companies where they had only like 5 users and they automated a lot of the processes. And then on the other hand, I have companies that have 300 users and they're automating processes. And yeah, the level of automation is more complex as bigger the organization is,
Right.
but everybody can take advantage of this, from little small things to larger things. And it could be something as small as ring off an alarm at 12 o'clock because it's time for lunch. Simple as that.
You can do that in there.
To something much more complex. Yeah, I mean, you can have it
Holy
send you
crap.
an email like okay, every 12 o'clock send an email to Mac, it's lunchtime.
Mm.
Or I can send an SMS, every 12 o'clock, send an SMS to Mac. Hey, stop, go get lunch.
I probably need that because I'm horrible with going to eat on time. So yeah.
That's the I mean, that's a simple automation that you can do. It's just I want people to try it out. Try it out for yourself.
It's
Look,
part of the suite, right? They don't have to buy it's already part of the
it's
suite,
yeah,
correct?
you already get some automations there. There's a limitation to it, but
Okay, right,
uh,
right.
but you can get started right away. Yeah, if you have an Office 365 account, you can get started right away. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
So, I just looked at the time and it's already past 3 o'clock. I have a call I need to make at 3. So, but I rambled on enough today. I'll talk to everybody back again Monday, I believe. And Mac, I'll see you Monday as well.
Yes, sir. Everyone have a great day.
Have a great one, everyone, and be safe out there.
Bye.